The primary source we have for fulfilling our 7 basic needs is through our relationships, relating to other people, relating to other places, and to other things. When we relate to other people, other places, or other things, an energy is created. And that energy has many different levels. It can be from high, positive, light energy, which supports us and strengthens us and enthuses us and allows us to really experience the exuberance of life. Or it can be a negative, low, and dark energy, which weakens us. It works against us. It doesn't allow us to move forward into the greater scheme of life that really satisfies our desires. Every single part about you is you relating to your world. I'm going to say that again because it's very simple, but at the same time it's very profound. Your whole life is about you relating to your whole life. Every experience you have is you relating to something outside of yourself. And that what you're relating to has an energy of its own. It can be high, light, positive energy. It can be low, dark, negative energy. And so on the spiritual path, our position, our objective is to remain in that high, light, positive energy and to not allow it to be contaminated by other people's energy or drawn out of our light into their darkness as a means of retaliation or a means of reaction. Now this takes us to the front page of the bulletin. And on the front page of the bulletin, we have our 7 primary needs for comfort and fulfillment. And beneath these, from David Hawkins' book, Power versus Force, he lists the emotions from the darkest to the lightest. The worst is shame. Shame defeats us. Shame depresses us. Shame works against us and it weakens us more than any other emotion. From there going up, it's guilt, it's apathy, which is not caring, it's grief, fear, craving, anger, and pride. Those negative emotions, dark, low emotions, they weaken us, they don't support us, they hold us back. The positive emotions, going upward, is courage. That's the tipping point. Neutrality, willingness, acceptance, reason, love, joy, and peace being the highest. Peace of mind is the greatest desire each and every one of us has. So as we look at this, we see our 7 primary needs for comfort and fulfillment, and we see what is going to stand in our way of experiencing that and what is going to support us in experiencing that. The 7 weakening emotions and the 7 strengthening emotions. Now just for a moment, stop and think that you've been given a plot of land, a field, so to speak. You're the caretaker and the gardener of that field. You have complete control over it and you have complete responsibility over it. So you step back and you look at this field and you see potential. You decide what you want to reap from this field, and that is what you sow. You plant vegetables, you plant fruits, and you plant flowers for beauty. As it begins to grow, you only have to do 2 things to reap your harvest. One, you have to nurture the ground, and that makes sure the ground, the soil, gets everything it needs to allow the plants to grow. And the second thing is you need to uproot and take out and throw away all those things, the weeds, so to speak, that strangle and try to prevent your crop from growing. Very, very simple. If you do this, your field is going to produce abundance. So now let's look at this in a different way. It is your field of energy. And each and every one of us has that. We have our own field of energy. And we can plant in that field whatever we want. So we can plant the seeds of positive, light, higher emotions, and that's going to allow the 7 basic needs for fulfillment and comfort to grow. And we also need to uproot or take out those negative emotions that happen to come in, the weeds of emotions. Now here's where we come to relationships. There are people in our lives that might have dark energy for one reason or another. They might be going through a difficult time. They just might be very turned off about life. They might be angry people. It doesn't make any difference, though those people exist and they're in our lives. Now the point is, when we meet with those people face to face, we have a choice. They can draw us into their darkness, and that dark energy can come up within us, and create what happens in our energy field, or we can remain in the light, the positive, the uplifting, the higher energy, and either deflect their dark energy or allow them to be transformed by our energy. So in our field of energy, what we have to do is to put up a fence that goes all the way around the field. And that means that the darkness doesn't come in. Now, this doesn't mean when you run into somebody that pushes your buttons or that angers you or that has negative energy that you run away and try to hide from them. Not at all. But it means that you don't engage in them to the point where they contaminate your field of energy. In the Gospel of Luke, Jesus says, "Let every tree that does not bear good fruit be cut down and cast into the fire." And he's talking about this field of energy thing. He's talking about what we plant is what we harvest. And he also talks about a man who went over one night and he spread weeds in his farmer's crops. And he said, what should the man do? Should the man curse the other person? No, he says, pull the weeds and move on with your business. So it's getting caught up with that negative energy when we're aware of it and we see that our lives are like this field of energy that we have control over, and that we can plant whatever we want and we can pull up and get rid of whatever we don't want. It becomes a real visual picture of what our life is. And we start to move into those areas where negative energy comes our way, or the darker energy begins to surround us. We center ourselves in our field of light, and we send that light out instead of taking the darkness in. As we move into meditation, just take a moment to think about your own field. Your field of energy. What does it contain right now? What needs to be pulled up and thrown out? And what needs to be nurtured and grow? We now move into meditation.